Welcome to another episode, everyone. The Bloods tried to force Jay-Z to check in Los Angeles, California. Things did not go according to plan. We all know the rumors run amok that it is dangerous in Los Angeles, California for these rappers and celebrities. So supposedly they have to check in with certain individuals and pay a fee just to be over there in the area doing their work, doing their business, running concerts and such. And reportedly, these same individuals or some of these individuals, some of these culprits tried to get Jay-Z to check in when he hit Los Angeles, California. Oh, man.
I knew about Jay-Z that he came to L.A. Next day I know he was taped up, robbed, and gagged.
Suge we had to be aggressive.
So Suge says Jay-Z was taped up, robbed, and gagged. He said he was taped up, robbed, and gagged. Okay.
Everywhere and everything we did.
Out in L.A. But, you know...
Who was responsible for that?
Who knows?
In 2002, Suge Knight sat across from Carson Daly on late-night national television and casually said that Jay-Z had been taped up, robbed, and gagged in Los Angeles. He laughed when he said it. When Carson asked if he knew who was responsible, Suge leaned back and said, "Who knows?" He mentioned he'd never even met Jay-Z.
Who was responsible for that?
Who knows?
But if there's one thing the streets understood about Suge Knight, it's this. When someone went missing in Los Angeles, when someone got hit inside his territory, and Suge was the one telling the story, Suge usually knew exactly who was responsible.
I guess I was just like this prophet, telling everybody the future.
So how did Jay-Z end up in Los Angeles at the height of the East-West War, walking through death row territory without an army? And why, more than 20 years later, has the man who built Rockefeller never said a single word about it? Let's get into it. Compton's record label. Before Death Row was a record label, it was a gang operation with a distribution deal. Mary and Suge Knight grew up in Compton, California and became affiliated with the Mob Piru Bloods, a set rooted on the east side of Compton. When he co-founded Death Row Records in 1991 with Dre and the DOC, he didn't hire security guards. He staffed the label with gang members from his set.
Because on the 7th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me all the Bloods and the Crips that we had.
By the mid-1990s, Death Row's payroll included members of Mob Piru, Fruittown Piru, and Looters Park Piru, armed men coming and going around the clock. The neighbors started calling the police. On June 23, 1996, 4 LAPD officers showed up at Death Row's Wilshire Boulevard headquarters specifically to verbally admonish the label, the department's polite way of saying, "Your building is a gang front and people have noticed." By that point, federal investigators were already looking into Death Row for alleged ties to drug trafficking, money laundering, extortion, and gun running. The label operated on one core principle. Los Angeles was blood territory. Death Row was its enforcer. And if you came into that city to...
No, that's not necessarily so. They didn't, Death Row did not operate on one principle that that Los Angeles was all blood territory. Sometimes these individuals who are not a part of the culture get a hold of the culture's history and they misrepresented it. They misrepresent the history. They are misinformed themselves.
Make money in music, Suge expected to be acknowledged. Vanilla Ice found that out early. In the early 1990s, a dispute emerged over royalties to Ice Ice Baby, one of the most commercially successful rap singles at the time. Suge controlled Vanilla Ice and, according to multiple accounts, made the situation very clear. The full story has been disputed over the years. Vanilla Ice himself later said the famous balcony dangling story was exaggerated.
Constantly just remind people, "No, he never hung me over the balcony," and none of that ever happened.
But on one point, there has never been any dispute.
Yeah, and of course he's referring to, as he said, there was a dispute over the song and the rights to the song of Ice Ice Baby, one of the biggest songs at the time, and reportedly Suge held Vanilla Ice over a balcony upside down with his henchmen there with him, his goons, Suge Knight, and forced Vanilla Ice into signing over his rights or what have you. Vanilla Ice, as we just heard, somewhat disputed it, said that the story was exaggerated, that something did happen in that motel room or wherever they were at, but not that precisely.
Vanilla Ice signed over $4 million in royalties to Suge Knight.
And I go, cool, man, sign. I didn't know I was signing away publishing.
He said himself in interviews that the money from that deal helped launch Death Row. Suge didn't need to throw anyone off a balcony, he just needed people to understand what their options were. The tax. What Suge Knight ran wasn't just a record label, it was a toll booth. You came to Los Angeles, you paid. The only variable was the currency. Royalties, cash, a phone call, a public show of deference, but nobody moved through his city for free.
I don't know that Suge Knight made everyone pay that came to Los Angeles. They have accused other individuals of this same thing, of making them check in and making them pay. Not Suge Knight. Suge Knight had his own money. It was running Death Row, which was nearly $1 billion corporation. Should have been, could have been, would have been, had he not made some of the mistakes that he did make. But as far as Suge Knight, yes, he was aggressive, apparently, reportedly, perhaps even a bully, but making them check in for $15,000 and this sort of stuff like some individuals have been accused of, I doubted Suge Knight was a hefty millionaire.
Jermaine Dupri's birthday party at the Platinum House nightclub in Atlanta on September 24th, 1995, Bad Boy's entourage got into a heated confrontation with Suge and one of his bodyguards, Big Jake Robles, a Campanella Park Piru blood who handled Death Row's muscle on the road.
He was on here bully shit. That's why he got what he got that night.
That confrontation, which would later be cited as one of the sparks that turned the East-West rap beef into a genuine war, ended with no shots fired that night. But it sent a message. Death Row's reach didn't stop at the California state line.
That people don't know is that beef between Puff and Suge started at my birthday party.
The 2001 Source Awards in New York tested something different. Eminem was there, performing and presenting, visibly aligned with Dr. Dre and Aftermath, the same Dre who had defected from Death Row 5 years earlier. According to Eminem's bodyguard, Byron Big Nas Williams, who later recounted the Night to the Murder Master music show, there was a sea of red guys around him. The men identified themselves as Death Row and told Williams that Suge Knight sent us to strong-arm him. M was quickly moved out of the venue. He stayed to do his presentations, but under escort the entire night. Suge later claimed he actually called his crew off, that he'd never been out to get Eminem. His head of security, Reggie Wright Jr., backed that story. Both accounts agree on one thing. Death Row showed up at the Source Awards to apply pressure, and Eminem's team spent the night reacting to it.
There's a guy named Pooh Ryder. He had him about to do something bad to him at the Source Awards.
The most documented incident came the following year. In 2002, 50 Cent was shooting the music video for In Da Club in Los Angeles, produced by Dr. Dre with Eminem on set as executive producer. Mid-shoot, word spread through the crew. Suge is coming. According to Tony Yayo, cameras fell over, dancers ran. The set dissolved into chaos.
Oh my goodness. The word hit the shoot, Suge is coming. Like it's a monster or something. A freaking polo bear on the way. Suge is coming. They said people scattered. Dancers started running. What the hell? Suge had these individuals scared to death. Buffaloed out there. He did have them scared at this time. Say what you want about him now. At this time in the mid-90s and early 90s, the industry was deathly afraid of Suge Knight. I'm sure including Jay-Z and these type of individuals. He was highly connected, visibly connected to some very treacherous individuals who were at his beck and call, and the whole industry was buffaloed.
Suge's outside. Everybody it was running, dropping shit. Like, man.
Suge arrived with 10 to 15 people, black gang members.
Suge's outside. That's 50 Cent saying that. That's how people work. Suge's outside. And they start getting up out of there and going crazy. Man, really?
And Mexican gang associates and walked onto the lot. According to multiple people present, including D12's Bizarre and former G-Unit artist Bang'em Smurf, Eminem was ready to engage wearing a bulletproof vest.
And Eminem,
He came outside.
he came outside. He was ready to take
He's
on
from
whatever.
Detroit.
Police were called. A helicopter circled overhead. The shoot shut down entirely. Suge later described it himself in interviews, mentioning the Mexican and black gang members he brought with him. By his own account, he barely got out before police arrived.
You hear sirens, the helicopter shining the light. We barely got out of there.
And then there was Lil Wayne. According to Mr. Capone, a West Coast rapper with documented...
Yeah, I just saw something where they were saying why Eminem was not afraid of Suge Knight. And clearly he was not. He pulled up on him there and telling Eminem to come outside, and he came outside. Oh boy said, well, yeah, he's from Detroit. He came outside, but the shoot ended up getting shut down with officers and all of that coming, and they barely made their escape.
Ties to Suge's network, Suge used him specifically to confront Wayne when he came to Los Angeles. In interviews with Vlad TV, Capone described being sent to check Lil Wayne on Suge's behalf, rolling up on Wayne's crew in a way that made the power dynamic clear, Suge sitting in the background, directing the pressure from a distance.
Lil Wayne's out here. Lil Wayne's in our territory. He's like, he needs to bow down to you guys.
This was the system. It had a name, a structure, and a price tag. The manager of a well-known rapper, unnamed in the court documents, told detectives that Suge and a Crips gang leader were demanding $30,000 from that artist every time they performed in Los Angeles. The total operation, investigators estimated, had netted Suge more than $10 million. Prosecutors cited 31 separate incidents of violence or threats since 2004 alone. The tax wasn't a rumor. It was a documented business model. Rockefeller in enemy territory. In 1996, Jay-Z was not the Jay-Z anyone knows now. Rockefeller Records had been founded the previous year by Jay, Damon Dash, and Kareem Briggs Burke after every major label passed on Jay's demos. They were independent, underfunded, and operating on street hustle, selling CDs out of car trunks, hitting barbershops, working the club circuit themselves. Their distribution deal was through Priority Records, a Los Angeles-based label.
Jay, he was the artist and Dame was the mouthpiece of the business. All the decisions was made by all three of us.
That last detail matters. Having a deal through a...
Yeah, Jay really did, not just Jay, Biggs and Damon Dash, they did a lot of this on their own. Started off, they were refused a record deal. No one really believed in Jay-Z. He went out on his own and started selling CDs out of his car like Black Sam was doing, like many individuals were doing, and grinding hard, determined until he got on.
West Coast company meant having West Coast business to conduct. Jay-Z had legitimate reasons to be in Los Angeles during the most dangerous period in hip-hop history, when Tupac was still alive and aligned with Death Row, when the Bloods ran the corridors of every major industry event in the city, and when any East Coast rapper moving through LA without clearance was doing so at genuine personal risk. Jay's position was different from Biggie's or Diddy's. Bad Boy had resources and infrastructure. Jay was building. He didn't have the budget for security apparatus, and he didn't have the kind of street rap that made people hesitate. What he had was talent, and he knew how to use it as currency.
We're doing to say, like, even put myself in their shoes. Think about that record. So that record came after Dre leaves Death Row.
By 1999, he'd built enough of a relationship with Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg, both of whom had left Death Row, that Dre flew him from New York to Los Angeles for one session. The song, Still Dre, the lead single off Dre's comeback album 2001. Dre and Snoop had been working on the track with the DOC for 4 days without cracking it. Then Jay sat down and wrote the entire thing, both Dre's verses and Snoop's verses, in under 30 minutes. Producer Scott Storch later clarified in a 2021 interview with Hip Hop DX that Jay submitted the reference track by email within that window. One session, one song. It became one of the most iconic records in West Coast rap history, written by a man from Marcy Projects in Brooklyn.
Okay, so you put the beat together, and then Jay-Z actually did lyrics.
Yeah.
Dre and Snoop vouched for Jay on that trip. According to Suge's own account told years later, Snoop and Dre both told Jay, "When you on the West Coast, you wrote a song for me. Don't worry about nothing." Two former Death Row artists extending protection inside a city that Suge still considered his. The question of how much that protection was actually worth was about to get tested.
I don't know that Suge Knight considered the city to be his. Perhaps Compton, but not Los Angeles. But nevertheless, I'm not surprised to hear that Jay-Z hit Los Angeles and was tied up and gagged, and that he's never spoken about this out loud. Again, we hear the rapper Boosie saying just the other day, I covered it, he said, well, a lot of individuals have been robbed in LA. A lot of people I know, a lot of celebrities have been robbed in LA. They just don't speak about it. And just California in general. He says when he comes, he stays for one day to take care of whatever business he needs to take care of, and then he gets out of there. He says he does not travel to Los Angeles, California, unless he has at least 10 individuals with him. This is Boosie. It is very dangerous.
Who knows? The interview aired in 2002 on Last Call with Carson Daly on NBC. It resurfaced in February 2022 and immediately dominated every hip-hop conversation online. Suge was asked about Jay-Z. He said, "The only thing I know about Jay-Z is that he came to LA a few times and Snoop and Dre told him that, when you on the West Coast, you wrote a song for me, don't worry about nothing. Next thing I know, he's taped up, robbed, and gagged." He laughed after he said it. Carson Daly asked if Suge had any idea who was responsible.
So in other words, Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg have no weight. They cannot protect Jay-Z. They cannot tell Jay-Z that when you come to Los Angeles, California, you're going to be protected for sure. You're good. Suge says he turns around and Jay-Z is tied up, robbed, and gagged. After these individuals told him that when he comes down to Los Angeles, California, he'll be good. That he's under grand protection.
Suge said, "Who knows?" Then he mentioned, almost as an afterthought, that he'd never even met Jay-Z.
They can shout all day and say, I don't know Rockefeller or Jay-Z and others.
Read that sentence carefully. Suge wasn't expressing shock. He wasn't outraged on Jay's behalf. He wasn't presenting it as something that surprised him. He brought it up himself, unprompted, told it like a punchline, laughed at the reveal, and played dumb when asked about the perpetrators. For anyone who understood how Suge operated, how this territory worked, who moved through it, and what happened to people who entered without his blessing, the implication of that laugh wasn't subtle. Most people in hip-hop who weighed in on the clip after it resurfaced in 2022 arrived at the same conclusion. Suge ordered it. The tax had been charged. The system had worked exactly the way it was designed to work. Suge just had the audacity to go on television and tell everyone about it, knowing nobody, not Jay, not his team, not anyone, was going to publicly challenge the story. The only person from The Rock who addressed it was Memphis Bleek, Jay's first signee, his road dog since before Reasonable Doubt dropped. Bleek's response on Twitter: "Every cap in the world, accompanied by every cap emoji he could find. No details, no timeline, no counter-narrative. Just, that's a lie." Jay-Z said nothing. He has never said anything. He didn't respond when the interview first aired in 2002. He didn't respond when it resurfaced 20 years later. Not in a song, not in a documentary, not on a podcast. Not in the pages of Decoded, the man who built an empire talking about his failures, his drug years, his knife fight in the elevator at the Kit Kat Club. That story he left alone. What the silence means. Suge Knight was sentenced to 28 years in prison on October 2018 after pleading no contest to voluntary manslaughter in the January 2015 Compton hit-and-run that
28 years. They just had it in for Suge Knight. I was in the county jail with Suge Knight at this time in 2015. He was down there. They had it in for him. 28 years. I mean, there are individuals who do not get 28 years for murder. He was charged with manslaughter. They still believed the government, the system, that he was a bully on the street, a threat, or what have you, and put him away. Yes, he's accused and it's on camera of taking someone's life, but I'm just referring to the charges. He was charged with a manslaughter. Most individuals that are charged with a manslaughter do not get 28 years for the manslaughter. Some get 5 years, 4 years, 10 years. 11, 12 years would really be the max for manslaughter, but I don't know the circumstances of his case, and I'm not here to litigate his case. I'm just saying, but Jay-Z was in for it, hitting Los Angeles, thinking that he was good to go because some rappers told him that he can come and do whatever. I mean, he should be able to come and be okay and survive as a black man. He should not have to check in or give up any money. He should not be robbed, tied up, and gagged for any reason. by his own people just because he's made it out, and perhaps will reach back. But everyone do your own thing and get your own money. And the only thing, again, not the only thing, but one of the things that is unsettling about this and this so-called check-in culture is that these individuals are targeting other black individuals exclusively. They're not making anyone else check in.
Killed Terry Carter. He is currently incarcerated at R.J. Donovan Correctional Facility in San Diego.
Suge Knight sentenced to 28 years in prison. On October 4th, a judge sentenced rap mogul Marion.
The Mob Piru empire he built, the label infrastructure, the armed entourages, all of it is gone. But the Carson Daily clip doesn't go anywhere. Neither does the silence on the other end of it. Vanilla Ice signed over $4 million in royalties. Eminem got surrounded by a sea of red at the Source Awards. 50 Cent had to call the police just to finish a music video. Lil Wayne got checked by a crew Suge dispatched specifically for that purpose. And in Los Angeles courts, prosecutors put a dollar amount on the whole operation. $30,000 per visit, $10 million total, 31 documented incidents of violence and threats. Jay-Z built Rockefeller from a trunk hustle into a billion-dollar brand. He wrote the biggest West Coast comeback record of the decade for Dre and Snoop in 30 minutes in a studio in Los Angeles. He navigated the most dangerous era in hip-hop history without getting killed, without signing over his masters, and without checking in with anybody on record. Whether something happened on one of those LA trips, whether Suge's crew collected their tax, whether the tape was real, whether Jay walked away having paid a price nobody was supposed to know about, none of that has ever been confirmed, denied in detail, or litigated publicly. What is confirmed is the system that was running, and Suge Knight sat on national television, laughed, and told the world exactly how Jay-Z fit into it. He just left out the ending.
I know he was taped up, robbed, and gagged.
Suge's in.
Wow, I believe it. Taped up, robbed, and gagged. This is sort of the stuff that happens. It happens everywhere and anywhere, but in certain parts of the world, you especially have to be extremely careful. And again, this is not the Jay-Z of now, who's a billionaire and will obviously travel with a lot more security, safer security. Probably travels around like the president or something at this point in certain areas. So, we're talking 30 years ago. He had money then or whatever, but he was not the Jay-Z of now. So he's out there hustling and grinding, trying to get up in the music industry, messing with Snoop and Dre, and they're telling him that he's safe to come down since he had came down and made some music with them or for them. Clearly, he was not safe to come down. I do not believe that Suge Knight is making up the story because he was deeply involved in a lot of this stuff that was going on out there in LA and Compton at this time. Again, 30-some odd years ago. Let me know what you think in the comments, man. But Jay-Z has been able to outlast everything and everyone, if you will, when you think about it. Individuals of his era and his generation, a lot of them have succumbed to one thing or another. Tupac, unfortunately, rest in peace to my guy, Amaru Shakur, lost his life some 30 years ago. That's in Jay-Z's era. DMX died a few years ago, four or so years ago. That's also of his era. Suge Knight in prison for 28 years. Puff Daddy in prison. P. Diddy for however long he's in prison for, 10 years, 12 years. And everything that he's accused of. R. Kelly, same thing. That's also his generation. R. Kelly was making music at this time. So Jay-Z is still here, still around. Ice Cube as well, but other individuals are still here from his generation, but a lot of these individuals from his generation and his genre have went by the wayside one way or another, unfortunately. He's been able to last and become a billionaire on top of that and stay free, even though, of course, reports indicate that he's in the Epstein files and has his hands dirty in one way or another, that he sold out the people and the culture in one way or another. but they all do it. It's a part of being successful in the industry. You have to be willing to sell your people out. There you go. Jay-Z checking in Los Angeles, California, like a lot of individuals have done. Unfortunately, individuals have been robbed in Los Angeles, California, and made a mockery of. And again, it's not a good thing because it's only black on black. It's not a good thing versus anyone, with anyone taking someone's hard-earned money, but and making them check in just to be in the area as if they own this entire area. Certainly even more despicable when you break down the fact that it involves our people only. Well, that's just sickening. We have to do better. Stay safe and stay free, people.